running started when I was young because both my parents they were track and field athletes when they were in their school days as well. So the interest caught on because when we were young, my dad used to bring us to Macritchie for runs and jogs. So but I only started training seriously for athletics when I was 13, secondary one. So I used to specialize in 200 meters and 400 meters under Mr. Patrick Sander when I was training then. Then I moved towards more towards the 400 meters as I got older, and I've always been a sprinter. Like I never really attempted to try the throws or jumps for that matter. Only when I was in university, I started doing the hurdles and actually competed in the triple jump as well. And that is when I realized that the other events are fun as well, and I also have the ability to do well in it. So after in 2011, I represented Singapore at the Palembang SEA Games, and I ran in the 4x4 and we got a bronze medal then. And after that, it was like a new chapter for me in terms of both my athletics career and life career, because I graduated from NUS and I had to make a choice whether I wanted to continue track and field for 2015 SEA Games. I think the decision to make the change to decathlon was in some ways straightforward, simply because I felt that there were many up and coming 400 meter runners that were vying for the 400 meter spot in 2015 SEA Games, and I didn't feel that I would have the ability to challenge them. So I thought, why not try the decathlon, because it is new to a lot of people in Singapore at this stage, and and on top of that, there was no one else that was actually training for it. So you don't know if you don't try. So it was a plan that started out early 2014. That was with my training partner, Tan Yong Shen. We just laid out a plan basically on training schedules and all towards the 2015 SEA Games. But we were both hampered by injuries at that time. Like literally both of us couldn't run. So what we did was we went to the gym quite often to build our strength, and we worked on the more technical things like the throws and basic strength work, especially for like the pole vault. There's a lot of gymnastic skills to learn, a lot of pull-up drills to do. So in some ways, although we were injured at the time, we still that actually gave us the opportunity to work on our basic strength for the technical events. Yeah. So needless to say, because both of us were also working full time, training for it was our plan was actually like double sessions for a couple of days a week, but that didn't really materialize because it was just too tiring to be holding a full-time job and be training before and after. So what we did was we kept we trained after work, but each sessions were quite long, which almost 3 to 4 hours long, but it was very productive. So it helped that Yong Shen had vast experience from his training in Loughborough University, when he had a lot of interaction with world-class decathletes over there. So he was able to impart skills and even mindset to me that a lot of I feel that a lot of Singaporean athletes and their coaches do not have. And one of it obviously is to, apart from proper recovery, to work on a technique that may not reap benefits at the start, but in the long run it would come. So I guess in that sense I was lucky to have a good training partner and a coach as well with me, such that our times were very flexible in terms of training, and we didn't have to worry too much about who to train with or how to train with. Like there's always, both of us were looking out for each other, so that made things much easier. And the good thing is actually, because you have so many events to train for, it takes out the boredom in training actually. Like you don't have to always do the same thing. It's that each week you're actually confined. We are actually more or less, we follow a structure of strength, technique, speed, and endurance. So it doesn't really matter what event we are training for. So for instance, if speed is very obvious, it's just blocks, or it can either be blocks or hurdle runs. That technique stuff usually includes like pole vault. It can even be basic technique for the throws. So there are some days like, my arm don't feel so good to throw the javelin today, so I'm just gonna do the discus instead. So in that sense, you don't really lose a lot of training time because you're always doing something else. There's always something else to do. You don't necessarily have to cover all the disciplines in a week. You just have to. I mean, it is 10 disciplines. It is going to take time no matter what. Even if you cramp it into a week, right? There's no way that you can recover fast enough, or there's no way you're going to learn each one properly. So I think one of the key aspects that we had is that we were quite patient in building up our technique and strength in that sense. We didn't rush through just to throw just because we want to throw this mount. We actually learn from scratch. And, I mean, for me especially, I wasn't thrower based, so I had to learn everything from scratch. And so I think that was a very good. I think that the point here to take away, I guess, is to start slow, learn it properly, don't rush it, and sooner or later you'll get it. I mean, build the foundation properly, and everything else can follow after that. Yeah. Okay. Why would a single eventer change to be a multi-eventer? A single eventer, I guess, when I was training for the 400 meters, every day it was almost the same thing. You're either running or you're doing some plyometrics or gym work and stuff like that. The goal was simple, just to run faster, longer, and it's almost as if the goal is so straightforward. It's so simple, yet it is tough to do. Like, let's say you are every training. Let's say it's an 8 times 200 meter workout. Every training you're going in, you're always trying to shave off maybe 0.1, 0.2 of a second, or even cut down the rest by 5-10 seconds, just so to see whether you can actually finish a workout in the timing that you want. That was like the sole purpose in life for a single eventer, for me at least. But when you're doing multi events, there's so many things to worry about. Like, let's say, because I'm sprinter based, right, I didn't really have to worry much about the sprint aspect of it. But I had to worry about my check marks for 100 meter for the long jump, check marks for the high jump, whether I was running the curve properly, and there were so many new things to learn. It was actually quite eye-opening, because not only are learning more about the other events in the sport, you're also actually making more friends in the other areas as well. When you talk to them and they share their experiences, and they give you advices and tips, you realize that you understand the sport so much more, and I think everybody should just take the off season to do one or two other events to see how difficult it is to actually do it properly. Yeah. So the feeling of doing the decathlon over 2 days, I mean doing 10 events over 2 days, is very different from a normal race. In fact, I mean, let's say even if it's the marathon, it's probably over for most people it's over in 5 hours, but it's still done in a day. I mean, you just have to turn up to the start line and you cross the finish line once and you're done. But for the decathlon, the mindset has been very different. Even from the get-go, from the first event, it's the 100 meters, so you have to be very explosive. Your adrenaline has to be pumped up to give the best, to finish the race the best time. Because in decathlon, actually the sprints and the jumps make up most of the point, or at least it's easier to gain points then. But it's also almost as if once you finish the first event, right, you just have to brush off whatever your performance was and just move on to the next event. You don't have to worry whether it was good or bad. You just move on. You don't let your emotions or the adrenaline get to you, because if you do, by 6 p.m. The first event is usually the first event of the any track program in athletics, so it's usually like 8:30 or 9 a.m. in the morning, and the last event is probably 6 p.m. So you have to last your adrenaline has to last the whole day, and it's very important to not get affected by it's very important not to get affected by your event, whether you do well or do bad. Obviously, if you do well, you just carry on the momentum to do even better. You try to do better. But if you don't do well, just move along, as in, if hopping over it is not going to make much of a difference. So the other aspect, I would say, you have to plan, or at least you have to know how and when to eat along this stretch of 9 hours around throughout the day, because you're never really going to get a proper meal unless you're fortunate enough to have a good break. If not, you always have to munch on bananas, cereals, Snicker bars, Red Bull here and then. Also, you don't want to take Red Bull too early because you're just going to deplete your energy too early. And yeah, I think the first day is usually quite easy. I mean, everybody can get through the first day, just how good only. It's when you go to bed at night and when you wake up next morning for the first event, which is the 110-meter hurdles. That's when all the aches and sores really get to you. So you have to remember that your body has already gone through 5 events. So whatever it is, you just have to finish the race in that first 100 in that 110-meter race. You have to execute it properly. If you don't, you're just going to mess up you the rest of day 2. For me, the 3 events that I'm the most fearful of is actually the first 3 events of the second day. The 110-meter hurdles, the discus, and the pole vault. Once you are done with these 3, it's almost as if you can take a sigh of relief and just finish off with the javelin and 1005. But I guess it takes experience to know what I'm really talking about. But you just have to remember that you have to do 10 events in 2 days. So you have to manage your energy properly in that way. You cannot be too excited for one and you forget about the other. Even if you do a bad event, just move on and do well for the next one and you make it up for it. So I think finishing the decathlon is an accomplishment by itself. So I think anyone should try just doing the decathlon, because it is a whole new experience actually, and nobody is really going to fault you if you're not going to do well in an event that you're not strong at. I think everybody should just give it a try because it is an event that I think of all the neighboring countries, Singapore has the best resources in terms of all 10 events. So we should capitalize on that. And going forward, I'm actually quite encouraged. Like, I've already heard of 1 or 2 people that approached us for whether we can asking more about decathlon and how they can start training for it and stuff like that. So it is an encouraging sign. I think a lot of things takes somebody to start it, and then people realize that, hey, actually this can be done. And hopefully when I completed it at the 2015 SEA Games, it opened doors of opportunities to other people, and it is possible and anyone can do it. It's just whether you want to or not.